When you think about respect, it's not something you can demand without earning it. Respect begins with boundaries. Boundaries are not walls to keep others out. They are the structure that defines you, protects your values, and protects your worth. And for men to respect you, you must establish boundaries that reflect strength, clarity, and purpose. The first boundary is self-respect. If you don't respect yourself, why would anyone else? Self-respect comes from how you carry yourself, the standards you set for your behavior, and the expectations you have for others. It's not arrogance, it's a quiet confidence that says, I know who I am. Men will notice when you hold yourself to high standards because it signals to them that you won't tolerate anything less. The second boundary is emotional control. People often think respect is about dominance or physicality, but true respect stems from your ability to stay composed under pressure. If you let your emotions dictate your reactions, you become predictable and easy to manipulate. A person who masters their emotions communicates strength, and strength demands respect. The third boundary is the power to say no. Too often people conflate kindness with compliance, but the truth is, overextending yourself only breeds resentment. When you say no to things that compromise your principles or drain your energy, you teach others to value your time and priorities. This isn't selfish, it's necessary. The fourth boundary is intellectual independence. Men respect individuals who can think for themselves. If you blindly follow opinions or shift your perspective to please others, you lose credibility. Develop your beliefs, stand by them, and articulate them thoughtfully. That doesn't mean being stubborn, but it does mean valuing the integrity of your mind. The fifth boundary is your standards in relationships. Whether personal or professional, the way you allow others to treat you defines how they perceive your worth. If you accept disrespect or neglect, you signal that such treatment is acceptable. But when you demand respect, not through confrontation, but by gracefully withdrawing from what diminishes you, people take note. They know they can't cross that line without consequence. Owners pay respect to extraordinary behaviors in the simplest of graces. People cross politely and respectfully with little discussion. Respect is not about being feared or liked, it's about being valued, and boundaries are the markers that show where your value begins. Men, and anyone for that matter, will respect you more when your boundaries are firm, fair, and unwavering. Self-respect is the foundation upon which all other forms of respect are built. It is not something you simply declare, it is something you embody through your actions, choices, and demeanor. When you carry yourself with self-respect, you communicate to the world that you understand your worth, and that understanding sets the tone for how others will treat you. People are perceptive. They pick up on subtle cues in your behavior, your speech, and even your body language. Society takes for granted if you project uncertainty, a lack of confidence, or a tendency to second-guess yourself, it sends a message that you don't fully value who you are. Conversely, when you carry yourself with dignity and confidence, people instinctively take notice and respond to you accordingly. Self-respect starts with knowing your values and living in alignment with them. This is where many people falter. They compromise their beliefs to fit in, to gain approval, or to avoid conflict. But every time you sacrifice your principles for external validation, you chip away at your own sense of worth. Living authentically, even when it's difficult, reinforces your self-respect because you are honoring the values that make you who you are. This doesn't mean you have to be rigid or inflexible, but it does mean you should have a clear understanding of what you stand for and why it matters. When others see that you are unwavering in your integrity, they recognize that you are someone who cannot be easily swayed or manipulated. And that alone commands respect. Another critical aspect of self-respect is how you treat yourself. People often underestimate the power of self-care and discipline in shaping their self-perception. When you neglect your health, your goals, or your well-being, you send a message to yourself and to others that you don't prioritize your own needs. This isn't about vanity or selfishness. It's about demonstrating that you believe you are worth the effort it takes to live well. Whether it's maintaining a healthy lifestyle, pursuing your ambitions, or simply taking time to recharge, these actions reinforce your value in your own eyes. And when you value yourself, others are more likely to value you too. Self-respect also shows up in the way you set and enforce boundaries. If you allow others to walk all over you, take advantage of your kindness, or treat you with disregard, you are teaching them that such behavior is acceptable. Respecting yourself means having the courage to say no, to stand up for what you deserve, and to walk away from situations or relationships that diminish you. This is not always easy, especially if you fear rejection or confrontation, but it is necessary. People respect those who respect themselves enough to demand fair treatment. When you set clear boundaries and stick to them, you create an environment where others know they must approach you with care and consideration. As a leader, the success of your team depends on you showing your best. You understand the value of time and people, and you focus the value back onto them. Your self-respect is also reflected in how you carry yourself. Confidence is not arrogance. It's a quiet assurance that comes from knowing who you are and what you bring to the table. This confidence is evident in your posture, your tone of voice, and your willingness to engage with the world authentically. People are drawn to those who exude this kind of confidence because it signals stability and self-awareness. She leads with the phrase that life is too short to live in fear. However, confidence without humility can come across as off-putting. True self-respect strikes a balance between pride in your abilities and an openness to growth and learning. It's about being secure in your strengths while acknowledging your limitations and striving to improve. Finally, self-respect requires consistency. It's not enough to practice self-respect sporadically or only when it's convenient. It has to be a daily commitment, a way of life. This means holding yourself accountable to your own standards, even when no one else is watching. The more consistent you are, the more ingrained this respect becomes, and the more naturally it radiates from you. People can sense when someone truly respects themselves, and that energy is magnetic. By respecting yourself deeply and consistently, you create a ripple effect that influences how others perceive and interact with you. Emotional control is one of the most significant indicators of personal strength. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about mastering them so they don't dictate your actions. When you maintain control over your emotions, you project stability and self-assurance, qualities that naturally earn respect. People admire and trust those who can keep their composure, especially in situations that are tense, uncertain, or emotionally charged. In contrast, those who are easily provoked or ruled by their emotions often lose credibility and respect, as they appear unpredictable or even weak. The key to emotional control lies in self-awareness. You must first recognize your emotional triggers and understand how they influence your thoughts and behaviors. Everyone has moments of frustration, anger, or vulnerability. It's part of being human. However, the ability to pause, reflect, and choose your response rather than reacting impulsively is what sets emotionally strong individuals apart. This skill not only prevents unnecessary conflicts, but also demonstrates that you have the discipline to manage yourself, even when external circumstances are challenging. Men, in particular, often respect those who remain calm under pressure because it signals strength and reliability. Another important aspect of emotional control is the ability to separate feelings from facts. Emotions can cloud judgment and lead to decisions that are irrational or overly influenced by the heat of the moment. When you develop the ability to step back and analyze situations objectively, you show that you can prioritize logic and reason over impulsivity. This doesn't mean ignoring your feelings. It means not letting them override your ability to think clearly. People respect those who can navigate emotionally charged situations with clarity and decisiveness, as it shows a level of maturity and self-mastery that not everyone possesses. Emotional control also involves understanding the power of silence. Not every situation requires an immediate reaction or response. In fact, the ability to hold back and observe often speaks louder than words. Silence can be a tool for reflection, a way to de-escalate tension, or a means of maintaining your dignity in the face of provocation. When you refrain from reacting impulsively, you demonstrate that you are not easily rattled or manipulated. This level of control not only earns respect, but also gives you an advantage in maintaining your power and influence in any interaction. One of the greatest tests of emotional control is handling criticism or disagreement. It's easy to become defensive or reactive when your ideas or actions are challenged. However, responding with grace and composure shows that you are secure in yourself and open to constructive feedback. This doesn't mean you have to agree with every critique, but it does mean you can engage in dialogue without letting your ego take over. When you can listen without interrupting, respond without aggression, and stand firm without hostility, you show a level of control that commands respect. Emotional control also extends to managing your reactions in personal relationships. It's in these intimate connections that your emotional resilience is often tested the most. Whether it's with a partner, friend, or family member, disagreements and misunderstandings are inevitable. What matters is how you handle them. If you lash out, shut down, or let emotions escalate into conflict, you risk damaging the relationship and diminishing the respect others have for you. But if you approach conflicts with patience, understanding, and a calm demeanor, you not only resolve issues more effectively, but also deepen the respect others feel toward you. Ultimately, emotional control is about self-respect as much as it is about earning the respect of others. When you take the time to regulate your emotions, you show that you value your peace of mind and integrity above fleeting emotional outbursts. This inner strength creates a ripple effect. Others will see you as someone who is steady, grounded, and worthy of admiration. People naturally gravitate toward those who can maintain their equilibrium in a chaotic world because they provide a sense of security and stability. By mastering your emotions, you create an aura of quiet power that commands respect without demanding it. The ability to say no is one of the most essential boundaries a person can set, yet it's often one of the most challenging to uphold. Society frequently equates kindness with compliance, and many people fall into the trap of saying yes to everything out of fear of disappointing others or being perceived as selfish. But the truth is, every time you agree to something that doesn't align with your values, priorities, or capacity, you compromise a piece of yourself. Saying no is not an act of defiance or disrespect. It is an assertion of your worth, your time, and your principles. It teaches others how to value you, and more importantly, it teaches you how to value yourself. When you consistently say yes to things that overextend you, you may initially be seen as agreeable or accommodating, but over time it can lead to burnout, resentment, and even a loss of respect. People may begin to take you for granted, assuming you will always be available or willing to take on more than your fair share. This isn't because they are inherently disrespectful. It's because you've unintentionally communicated that your boundaries are flexible. It's because you've unintentionally communicated that your boundaries are flexible. Respect starts with clarity, and saying no is one of the clearest ways to assert where you stand. Saying no requires a deep understanding of your own priorities and limitations. You can't set boundaries if you're not sure what matters most to you. This means taking the time to reflect on what you value, what you're willing to invest your time and energy in, and what falls outside of those parameters. When you have a clear sense of your goals and principles, it becomes easier to identify requests or opportunities that don't align with them. This clarity allows you to decline without guilt, knowing that every no is actually a yes to something that truly matters to you. The power of saying no also lies in its ability to create space. When you fill your life with obligations that don't serve you, you leave little room for growth, creativity, or meaningful connections. By saying no to what drains you, you open up space for what fulfills you. This act of prioritization not only benefits you, but also signals to others that your time and energy are valuable resources. Men and people in general respect those who protect their boundaries because it demonstrates self-respect and confidence. Of course, saying no is not always easy. It often comes with the fear of rejection, conflict, or disappointing others. However, it's important to remember that respect is built on mutual understanding, not on pleasing everyone. When you say no with honesty and kindness, you're not shutting people out. You're setting a precedent for healthy, respectful interactions. People may not always like hearing no, but they will often appreciate your clarity and authenticity in the long run. Another aspect of mastering the no is learning to say it without over-explaining or apologizing excessively. Many people feel the need to justify their refusals, as if their boundaries aren't valid unless accompanied by a lengthy explanation. But over-explaining can undermine the power of your no and make it seem negotiable. A simple, firm, and respectful response is often more effective. For example, saying, "I can't take that on right now," or "that doesn't work for me," communicates your boundary clearly and confidently without inviting unnecessary debate. Saying no also builds respect because it demonstrates emotional intelligence. It shows that you're aware of your limits and capable of making decisions that align with your well-being. People respect those who can balance kindness with assertiveness because it reflects maturity and self-awareness. It also creates a dynamic of mutual respect as it encourages others to be honest about their own boundaries and limitations. Ultimately, saying no is an act of empowerment. It's a way of taking ownership of your life and ensuring that your energy is directed toward what truly matters. It may not always be comfortable, but it is always worthwhile. People respect those who respect themselves, and one of the clearest ways to show self-respect is by standing firm in your boundaries. By mastering the art of saying no, you not only protect your time and energy, but also establish yourself as someone who values integrity and balance. And that is a quality that commands respect in any relationship or interaction. Intellectual independence is one of the most critical attributes a person can develop if they want to command respect. It is the ability to think for yourself, form your own opinions, and stand by your beliefs, even in the face of opposition or pressure to conform. In a world where many people are quick to follow the crowd, intellectual independence sets you apart as someone with depth, conviction, and courage. It is not about being contrarian or rejecting the ideas of others simply to stand out. It is about engaging with ideas thoughtfully, critically, and authentically. Systems thinking isn't a radical philosophy. Rather, at its core, intellectual independence begins with curiosity and a willingness to question. Too often, people adopt beliefs or opinions without examining where they come from or why they hold them. They may echo the views of their social group, family, or media sources without truly understanding the foundation of those ideas. This kind of intellectual passivity can make someone appear malleable or lacking in substance. On the other hand, those who take the time to seek out knowledge, challenge assumptions, and consider multiple perspectives stand out as thinkers. They are not content with surface-level understanding. They dig deeper to uncover the truth, even if it makes them uncomfortable or challenges their preconceptions. They will challenge their preconceptions. Having intellectual independence doesn't mean rejecting advice or refusing to learn from others. In fact, it often means the opposite. Independent thinkers actively seek out diverse viewpoints, engage in meaningful conversations, and listen to arguments that differ from their own. However, they don't accept ideas blindly. They evaluate them critically, weigh the evidence, and decide for themselves what aligns with their values and reasoning. This balance of openness and discernment is a hallmark of intellectual independence and earns respect from others who see you as thoughtful and deliberate, rather than impressionable or rigid. One of the most compelling aspects of intellectual independence is the courage it requires. Thinking for yourself often means standing alone, especially when your ideas challenge the status quo or go against popular opinion. It can be tempting to conform, to go along with what everyone else thinks, to avoid conflict or criticism. But those who respect themselves enough to hold firm to their beliefs, even when it's inconvenient, are the ones who earn the respect of others. This courage doesn't mean you refuse to adapt or change your mind when presented with new information. It means you're willing to take a stand based on principle, not fear or convenience. Intellectual independence also requires humility. Respectable thinkers understand that no one has all the answers and that growth comes from acknowledging what you don't know. They are willing to admit when they're wrong, learn from their mistakes, and refine their views in light of new evidence. This openness to growth is not a weakness. It is the strength that demonstrates a commitment to truth and self-improvement. People respect those who can balance confidence in their convictions with the humility to learn and evolve. In addition, intellectual independence fosters authenticity. When you form your beliefs and opinions based on your own reasoning and values rather than simply adopting what's popular or expected, you create a sense of alignment between who you are and what you express to the world. This authenticity is magnetic because it shows that you are not trying to impress or manipulate others. You are simply being yourself. Authenticity commands respect because it is rare in a world where many people feel pressure to conform to external expectations. The ability to articulate your ideas clearly and confidently is another critical component of intellectual independence. Even if you have well thought out beliefs, they lose impact if you cannot communicate them effectively. This doesn't mean dominating conversations or forcing your views on others. It means being able to express your thoughts in a way that invites dialogue and understanding. People respect those who can articulate their ideas without resorting to aggression or defensiveness, because it shows both intellectual and emotional maturity. Finally, intellectual independence is about responsibility. When you think for yourself, you take ownership of your beliefs and decisions. You don't blame others for your choices or hide behind the safety of group consensus. This accountability demonstrates strength of character and earns the trust and respect of those around you. By standing firm in your intellectual independence, you not only enrich your own life, but also inspire others to think critically and live authentically. Setting and maintaining high standards in relationships is one of the most vital boundaries you can establish to ensure you are treated with respect. The way you allow others to treat you is a direct reflection of how you view yourself, and those around you take cues from this. If you tolerate disrespect, neglect, or behavior that diminishes your value, you communicate, intentionally or not, that such treatment is acceptable. Conversely, when you set firm, non-negotiable standards for how you expect to be treated, you project a sense of self-worth that naturally commands respect. The foundation of setting high standards is knowing your value. Before you can expect others to treat you well, you must first believe that you are deserving of such treatment. This begins with a deep understanding of your needs, boundaries, and expectations. What kind of behavior do you find unacceptable? What values are non-negotiable in your relationships? What level of effort, communication, or respect do you expect from others? By clearly defining these parameters for yourself, you create a framework for healthy, respectful relationships. Without this clarity, it's easy to fall into patterns of tolerating less than you deserve because you haven't articulated what deserving looks like. One of the most challenging aspects of maintaining high standards is enforcing them. It's one thing to set boundaries in your mind, but it's another to uphold them when they're tested. Many people struggle with this because they fear conflict, rejection, or being perceived as difficult. But enforcing your standards is not about being combative. It's about communicating your expectations with confidence and consistency. When someone crosses a line, addressing it calmly but firmly shows that you take your boundaries seriously. For example, if someone speaks to you disrespectfully, responding with, "I don't appreciate being spoken to that way," immediately sets a clear boundary. This isn't about creating tension. It's about asserting your self-respect in a way that leaves no room for ambiguity. High standards also mean being willing to walk away when those standards aren't met. This is perhaps the most powerful way to command respect. Too often, people remain in situations, whether friendships, romantic relationships, or professional environments, that do not align with their values out of fear of being alone, losing opportunities, or creating discomfort. But staying in such situations only reinforces the idea that you are willing to accept less than what you deserve. Walking away is not an act of aggression or bitterness. It's an act of self-respect. It signals to others and to yourself that you value your well-being and principles more than the comfort of staying in a situation that undermines them. It's important to note that maintaining high standards doesn't mean being inflexible or demanding perfection. Relationships are inherently imperfect, and everyone has flaws, including you. However, there's a difference between accepting human imperfection and tolerating behavior that violates your boundaries or compromises your values. High standards are about ensuring mutual respect, effort, and accountability, not creating impossible expectations. People respect those who can balance kindness and understanding with firmness and self-respect. Another crucial element of maintaining high standards is leading by example. If you expect others to treat you with respect, honesty, and care, you must embody those qualities yourself. This creates a dynamic of mutual respect and accountability. For instance, if you value open communication in relationships, you must also communicate openly. If you expect loyalty, you must demonstrate it. By living up to your own standards, you show others that you're not simply demanding respect, you're giving it as well. High standards also require consistency. It's not enough to enforce your boundaries in some situations and let them slide in others. This inconsistency sends mixed messages and undermines your credibility. People respect those who are steady and unwavering in their principles because it shows integrity and self-assurance. When you consistently uphold your standards, even in the face of pressure or temptation, you demonstrate a level of discipline that others admire. Finally, setting high standards in relationships is not just about the way others treat you. It's about the overall quality of the connections you cultivate. By refusing to settle for mediocrity, you create space for relationships that are truly fulfilling, supportive, and meaningful. This not only enhances your own life, but also sets a precedent for how people approach you. When others see that you have high standards and the confidence to uphold them, they are more likely to treat you with the respect and consideration you deserve. High standards are not about exclusion. They are about creating an environment where respect, effort, and integrity can thrive. Taking responsibility for your life is one of the most empowering and respect-commanding decisions you can make. It means owning your actions, choices, and circumstances rather than blaming external factors, other people, or bad luck. Responsibility is not about self-blame or carrying guilt for every misstep, but about recognizing that while you may not control everything that happens to you, you do have control over how you respond, adapt, and move forward. This mindset sets you apart as someone who is mature, self-aware, and capable, qualities that naturally inspire respect. End of 2012 interview. From 2011 Coveted Sports. One of the first steps in taking responsibility is acknowledging that your life is shaped by the choices you make. Every decision, whether large or small, contributes to the trajectory of your life. Many people fall into the trap of passivity, believing that their circumstances are dictated solely by external forces. While external factors can influence your life, how you choose to react to them plays an equally significant role. When you take responsibility, you shift from a victim mentality to a position of power, recognizing that you have agency over your life. This empowerment not only changes how you perceive yourself, but also how others perceive you. Taking responsibility also means letting go of excuses. It's easy to justify mistakes or inaction by blaming circumstances, lack of resources, or other people. While these factors may pose challenges, they do not absolve you of responsibility for your actions. Excuses undermine credibility because they suggest a lack of accountability. When you consistently blame external factors, people may begin to see you as unreliable or unwilling to take ownership of your life. On the other hand, when you acknowledge your mistakes, learn from them, and take proactive steps to improve, you demonstrate integrity and strength. People respect those who are willing to admit when they're wrong and take responsibility for correcting their course. Another aspect of taking responsibility is understanding the importance of self-discipline. Responsibility is not just about reacting to situations, it's about proactively managing your life. This includes setting goals, prioritizing your time, and following through on your commitments. Self-discipline is a form of respect you show to yourself and to others. When you consistently deliver on your promises and manage your responsibilities effectively, you build trust and reliability. People naturally respect those who can manage their own lives competently because it signals maturity and self-control. Taking responsibility also involves facing challenges head-on rather than avoiding them. Avoidance may feel easier in the moment, but it often leads to greater problems down the line, whether it's a difficult conversation, a tough decision, or a setback. Taking responsibility means addressing issues directly and constructively. This proactive approach shows resilience and determination, qualities that inspire respect from others. People admire those who are willing to confront difficulties with courage and a solutions-oriented mindset rather than shirking responsibility or hoping the problem will resolve itself. Another critical component of responsibility is understanding the impact of your actions on others. Taking responsibility for your life doesn't mean operating in isolation. It means being mindful of how your choices affect the people around you. This could involve apologizing when you've hurt someone, making amends for a mistake, or taking steps to prevent similar issues in the future. This accountability strengthens relationships and builds trust, as people respect those who take responsibility not only for their own well-being, but also for their role in collective dynamics. Taking responsibility also requires resilience and adaptability. Life will inevitably throw challenges your way, many of which are beyond your control. While it's natural to feel frustrated or disheartened by setbacks, responsibility means focusing on what you can do rather than dwelling on what you can't. This shift in focus from problems to solutions demonstrates a proactive mindset that others find inspiring and respectable. It shows that you are not easily defeated and that you take ownership of finding a way forward, even in difficult circumstances. Lastly, taking responsibility fosters personal growth. When you accept that your life is in your hands, you become more intentional about your actions and decisions. This mindset encourages continuous self-improvement as you seek to refine your skills, expand your knowledge, and become the best version of yourself. Growth inspires respect because it shows that you are not content with stagnation and are actively striving to reach your potential. People naturally admire those who take responsibility for their development and lead by example in their pursuit of excellence. Mastering emotional control is one of the most profound ways to earn respect. It requires understanding that while emotions are a natural and inevitable part of life, allowing them to dictate your actions can undermine your credibility, relationships, and ability to lead. Emotional control does not mean suppressing or ignoring your feelings. It means managing them in a way that reflects composure, self-awareness, and intentionality. People who demonstrate emotional control are often seen as reliable and strong because they can navigate challenging situations without being overtaken by impulsive reactions, end quote. At the core of emotional control is self-awareness. You cannot manage your emotions if you don't first understand them. This involves paying attention to your feelings, identifying their triggers, and recognizing the patterns in your reactions. Many people react automatically to emotions without pausing to consider why they feel the way they do. Emotional control begins with breaking this cycle by creating space between stimulus and response. For example, if someone criticizes you, instead of immediately reacting defensively, take a moment to assess your feelings. Are you hurt because the criticism is unfair, or is it because it touches on an insecurity? By understanding the root of your emotional response, you gain the clarity needed to respond thoughtfully rather than reactively. Emotional control also involves learning to regulate how emotions are expressed. While it's natural to feel anger, frustration, or disappointment, allowing these emotions to manifest as outbursts, harsh words, or passive-aggressive behavior can harm your relationships and damage your reputation. People respect those who can stay calm and composed, even in high-pressure situations, because it shows discipline and maturity. For instance, if someone provokes you in a professional setting, maintaining a measured and respectful tone rather than lashing out signals that you are in control of yourself. This composure not only prevents escalation, but also sets an example of grace under pressure. Another critical aspect of emotional control is distinguishing between reacting emotionally and responding rationally. Emotional reactions are often immediate and driven by feelings, while rational responses are deliberate and guided by thought. The ability to pause, reflect, and choose your response is a skill that commands respect. For example, if a colleague makes a mistake that affects you, an emotional reaction might be to express anger or frustration immediately. A rational response, however, might involve addressing the issue calmly, focusing on solutions and preserving the relationship. This approach demonstrates that you prioritize long-term outcomes over short-term emotional release. Developing emotional control also means avoiding the trap of emotional contagion, where you absorb and mirror the emotions of those around you. In tense or stressful environments, it's easy to become influenced by the negativity or agitation of others. However, maintaining your emotional equilibrium in such situations shows strength and stability. It signals that you are not easily swayed by external chaos and can remain grounded, even when others are losing their composure. And yet, this trait is particularly valuable in leadership roles, where the ability to stay calm under pressure inspires confidence and sets the tone for those you lead. Emotional control is also about learning to channel emotions constructively. Emotions like anger, disappointment, or sadness are not inherently bad. They can serve as powerful motivators for change if managed effectively. For instance, anger at an injustice can drive you to take meaningful action, while disappointment in a failure can inspire you to learn and improve. By reframing emotions as signals and opportunities rather than obstacles, you demonstrate a level of emotional intelligence that others respect and admire. Equally important is the role of empathy and emotional control. While managing your own emotions is crucial, understanding and respecting the emotions of others is just as important. This involves listening actively, validating others' feelings, and responding with compassion. When people feel heard and understood, they are more likely to respect you because it shows that you value their experiences. Lastly, I would like to illustrate earlier points here in the course by discussing the literature when I first made the contribution to this book. Emotional control, therefore, is not just about mastering your internal state, but also about navigating interpersonal dynamics with care and sensitivity. Collective problem-solving skills are among the most profoundly determining factors that define whether our society's largely successful individuals will forever be predatory and very rich. Practicing emotional control requires patience and consistency. It's not a skill that develops overnight, but one that is cultivated through intentional effort and reflection. Techniques such as mindfulness, deep breathing, and journaling can help you build the habit of pausing and reflecting before reacting. Over time, these practices strengthen your ability to manage emotions effectively, even in challenging situations. Ultimately, emotional control is a reflection of self-mastery. It shows that you are not at the mercy of your feelings, but instead are guided by your values, principles, and goals. This kind of discipline and intentionality is rare and commands deep respect. When you demonstrate emotional control, you show that you are a person who can be relied upon, even in difficult circumstances. The removal of you become someone others look to for guidance, stability, and wisdom, further solidifying the respect you earn through your actions and demeanor. Building resilience is an essential boundary that not only earns respect, but also fortifies your ability to navigate life's inevitable challenges. Resilience is the capacity to endure adversity, recover from setbacks, and adapt to change while maintaining your core values and integrity. It is not about avoiding hardship or pretending to be unaffected by struggles. Rather, it is about cultivating the strength to face difficulties with courage, determination, and purpose. It is not about cultivating the strength to face difficulties with courage, determination, and purpose. People respect resilience because it reflects inner strength, discipline, and the ability to persevere in the face of obstacles. At its foundation, resilience begins with a mindset shift. Life is inherently unpredictable, and setbacks are a part of the human experience. Accepting this reality allows you to approach challenges with a sense of realism rather than resentment. Many people fall into a victim mentality when faced with adversity, seeing themselves as powerless or unfairly targeted by circumstances. Resilience, however, comes from adopting a growth-oriented perspective. Instead of viewing setbacks as insurmountable failures, you see them as opportunities for learning, growth, and self-discovery. This mindset fosters adaptability and encourages proactive problem solving, both of which inspire respect from others who admire your ability to stay composed and forward-focused. Another key aspect of resilience is emotional regulation. Resilient individuals are not immune to stress, frustration, or fear, but they know how to manage these emotions in ways that allow them to remain functional and focused. Emotional regulation involves recognizing when you're feeling overwhelmed and taking deliberate steps to restore balance. Techniques such as mindfulness, deep breathing, or seeking support from trusted friends can help you maintain composure during challenging times. This emotional stability is a hallmark of resilience and earns respect because it demonstrates that you can face pressure without losing control. Water isn't religious. It requires a strong sense of self-worth and confidence. When you believe in your abilities and value yourself, you are better equipped to handle challenges without being paralyzed by self-doubt. Confidence doesn't mean arrogance or an inflated sense of capability. It means trusting that you can figure things out, even when the path forward isn't clear. This inner belief provides the foundation for resilience because it gives you the courage to take risks, face failure, and continue striving despite setbacks. People respect those who project confidence because it shows self-assurance and the ability to lead by example. A crucial element of resilience is the willingness to adapt and pivot when necessary. Life rarely goes according to plan, and clinging rigidly to a specific path can lead to frustration and burnout. Resilient individuals understand that flexibility is essential for growth and success. They are willing to reassess their strategies, make adjustments, and try new approaches when circumstances change. This adaptability is not a sign of weakness or indecision, but of resourcefulness and intelligence. It shows that you are not only resilient in enduring adversity, but also proactive in finding solutions, a trait that earns respect in both personal and professional settings. Resilience also involves building a strong support system. While resilience is often thought of as an individual trait, no one thrives in isolation. Seeking help, advice, or encouragement from others is not a weakness, it's a sign of wisdom and humility. Resilient individuals understand the importance of surrounding themselves with people who uplift and challenge them. They cultivate relationships that are built on trust, respect, and mutual support, knowing that these connections are invaluable during tough times. The ability to foster meaningful relationships is a testament to emotional intelligence, and it commands respect because it demonstrates your ability to give and receive support in a healthy way. Another aspect of resilience is persistence. Resilient people don't give up easily, even when faced with repeated failures or obstacles. They understand that success often requires sustained effort and that setbacks are simply part of the journey. This determination to keep moving forward, even when the odds are stacked against you, inspires respect because it reflects an unshakable commitment to your goals. Persistence is not about ignoring the reality of challenges, but about finding ways to overcome them through effort, creativity, and resourcefulness. Finally, resilience is deeply connected to a sense of purpose. Resilient individuals have a clear understanding of what matters most to them, whether it's their values, goals, or aspirations. This sense of purpose acts as a guiding light, helping them stay grounded and focused even in the face of adversity. When you know why you're enduring a challenge, it becomes easier to maintain perspective and keep pushing forward. This clarity of purpose is inspiring to others because it shows that you are driven by something greater than momentary struggles. In cultivating resilience, you create a boundary that protects your inner strength and integrity while commanding respect from those around you. Resilience is not about perfection or invulnerability. It is about showing up, staying true to yourself, and refusing to let challenges define you. This kind of strength, rooted in self-awareness and intentionality, leaves a lasting impression on others and earns their admiration and respect. In conclusion, establishing boundaries is not about creating distance or building walls. It's about defining your worth, standing firm in your values, and cultivating a life of integrity and self-respect. The boundaries you set shape how others perceive and treat you. By speaking your truth without fear, valuing your time, practicing self-respect, maintaining high standards, taking responsibility, mastering emotional control, building resilience, and knowing when to walk away, you signal to the world that you are a person who commands and deserves respect. These boundaries don't just elevate how others treat you, they transform how you see yourself. Now, respect begins within, and by living with intention and conviction, you become someone worthy of the admiration and trust of those around you. Respect is not demanded, it's earned. And these boundaries are your foundation for achieving it.